I'm here to do my prediction video for Machida versus Anders. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight is Maya Stevenson versus Pauliana Viema. And to me, Maya just looks like a decent jiu-jitsu chick. I feel like, she was on the Ultimate Fighter and she lost by submission. So, I mean, if your main thing is jiu-jitsu and you're getting submitted, to me, you're not that impressive. And she got dominantly submitted, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even that close. I think that Paulina, is undefeated, and I think she looks like she's just a better fighter. I think she's going to get a takedown and just win by submission as well. I got Paulina win by first-round submission. Next is Devinson Fernando versus Joseph Morales. And to me, Joseph Morales, he's a good wrestler, jiu-jitsu guy with good back takes. But I just feel like Devinson Fernando is the better striker overall. And I feel like on the ground, he should be able to keep up at least. Unless he just gets taken down and controlled the whole fight, I feel like Devinson, if it's on the feet, he'll win this fight, and I think it will. I think he's gonna keep it on the feet, and I think Devinson's gonna win by knockout, probably in the first or second round. Next is Yuri Alcantara versus Joe Soto, and to me, Joe Soto's looked really good. I mean, that last fight he got caught in that calf slicer super early, but I think he was, if he didn't get caught in that, he would have been in top position against a guy that I think he's a better grappler than. And I feel like that's the same thing in this fight. I feel like if he can get Yuri to the ground, I think overall he's still the better grappler than Yuri. I just think that, vice versa. I think if Yuri tries to take him down, I think he'll be the better grappler. It's just the striking. I think Yuri's the much better striker. But I think Joe Soto can hang with him. It's just a matter of Joe Soto clinching up with him and taking him down. I think sooner or later that will happen. And once it does, I think Joe Soto's either going to control this whole fight from the top or win by submission. I'm going to go with decision, though, because Yuri's hard to finish. So I say Joe Soto continuously gets this fight to the ground and wins by decision. Next is Douglas Silva versus Marlon Vera. And this is straight up striker versus grappler. Marlon Vera's gotten much better in his striking, but he's still primarily a jiu-jitsu guy, in my opinion. And I still think Douglas Silva is the significantly better striker of the two. But to me, Douglas Silva's kind of off and on. I feel like he does one thing really well, and that's just stand and bang. He's got good sprawl and brawl, too, but I feel like Marlon Vera is going to, just the longer, bigger guy, and I think he's going to eventually walk him down to the fence and eventually get him down and, kind of like Brian Ortega him to the ground if he needs to, and once he does, I think he's going to win by submission, whether it's with like a guillotine or a rear naked choke, but I got Marlon Vera winning by submission, probably in the second round. Next is Alan Patrick versus Demir. I don't know how to say this guy's last name, but to me, Demir was getting taken down and controlled by fucking Marcin Held, and I feel like Alan Patrick has the much better wrestling and top game control than Marcin Held does. I also think his conditioning's better overall. Like, he doesn't have great conditioning either, but it's better than Marcin Held was. I feel like the exact same thing is going to happen again, because really, Demir just got really lucky and landed that knee when Marcin went for that takedown. He was getting dominated that whole fight before that. And I think unless the same lucky knee happens, Douglas Silva is just going to, but Alan Patrick is just going to take him down repeatedly and control him from the top. So I got Alan Patrick winning an easy 30-27 decision. Next is Sergio Morales versus Tim Means. And if Tim Means can stuff the takedowns, he's going to win by knockout all day, every day. But he doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. And I feel like once this fight hits the ground, it's 100% Sergio Morales' world, and that's what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to strike for a little bit, and then eventually Morales is going to get in on some type of body lock takedown or something like that, and once he gets it to the ground, he's going to win by submission. So I got Sergio winning by first round sub. Next, we got the main card. It's Thiago Santos versus Anthony Smith. I like Anthony Smith a lot. I think that he's obviously on a really good win streak. It's like 3 or 4, and they're all by knockout. But his problem is that he's not super fast, and I think that that's a big problem against a guy like Thiago Santos. He's going to be fast the entire fight. I'd say overall technique, they're probably about even, but he's just got a huge speed advantage, Thiago Santos. I'd say power, they're probably close to. I mean, they both have solid knockout power. I just feel like Anthony Smith is one of those guys that accumulates damages, where Thiago is just one of those one-hit guys. I'm not saying Thiago doesn't have good technique. He throws in combinations and shit, but he has more one-punch knockout power. And I think this is just going to happen. I think they're going to be in striking exchanges, and I think Santos is going to just land more and quicker. I think that he's either going to win by knockout or he's going to win by decision, but I think unless Smith gets lucky and clips him with something, I think this is one of those fights where like 8 or 9 times out of 10, Thiago Santos should win this one just because of the huge speed advantage he has, in my honest opinion. But yeah, I'm going to go with Santos. I say he wins by either decision or KO. Next is Timothy Johnson versus Marco Golem. And to me, Timothy Johnson just got clipped in his last fight. I thought he was winning that whole fight up until he got clipped with that straight right. I feel like the same thing's going to happen in this fight. I think he's really good at pushing people against the fence, like that Ben Rothwell style of like kind of charging forward at people. Not really trying to take them down, just trying to push them against the fence and just beat on them. And I feel like unless he gets clipped, I think he's the better fighter overall. I think boxing-wise, Marco's probably a little bit better, but I would say conditioning and wrestling-wise, Timothy Johnson's got a big advantage. And I think he should be able to hold this guy against the fence and just beat on him for 3 rounds. So I got Timothy Johnson by decision. Next is Michael Pacheras versus Desmond Green, and I feel like Desmond Green should be able to win this fight. I think he has the takedown defense to stop Michael Pacheras from taking him down. He just needs to be more active. Like in his last fight, he just was not active enough, and that was his problem. Was that like what's his face? I can't remember who it was, but I think it was the Russian dude, like Khabib's training partner guy. I feel, he's just way too inactive. In his first fight, the reason why he was able to kind of do what he wanted to was because what's his face kept on pressuring him. I can't remember the 2 guys he fought. I'm sorry, guys, and so he's kind of a counter striker is what I saw. But like if he's not counter striking, he's really fucking just doesn't really do enough. And I feel like he needs to do more because the way Michael Pacheras fights is just like the Russian guy he just fought. Rustam Khabilov, that's who it is. And, he's just going to stand there and, lose because he's not going to do enough. I'm going to pick him still, though. I feel like Desmond Green, hopefully he learned from that loss. Because I feel like takedown defense, he should be able to stop Michael Pacheras. And I feel like boxing-wise, he should be better, too. I feel like he just needs to be active with his strikes and just mind his P's and Q's when it comes to the takedown defense. But one way or another, I'm picking Desmond Green. I say he wins by decision. Next is Valentina Shevchenko versus Priscilla, and I can't say this chick's last name. Priscilla looks like a good fighter. She's undefeated, but I just think Valentina's on another level. I think her striking and jiu-jitsu are just way better, and I think Valentina's going to win a decision and probably fight for the belt by the end of this year. She's one of those chicks that probably should have been fighting at 125 the whole time. This never had that weight. So when you see her next to Amanda looks like she's fucking huge compared to her. So 125 is perfect. Valentina Shevchenko is probably going to win the belt at this weight class, and I think she's going to start here. She's going to win this fight by decision probably, but a dominant decision. Next we got John Dodson versus Pedro Mahoz, and to me Pedro Mahoz is not super impressive. I feel like his last 4 fights we've seen his striking isn't super amazing. That fight against I can't remember his name, the Hawaiian dude, where he was just lighting him up that whole fight, and then he shot him for a takedown like a fucking retard and got caught in a guillotine. And then his last fight against Rob Font, he was just getting clipped over and over again, and then he kind of caught Rob Font with like 2 solid right hands, and then Rob Font went in for a takedown because he was rocked a little bit, and then he got caught in a guillotine. It's like Pedro Mahoz is not, he's a decent striker, like he's got that type of style. Like I say, he's willing to throw, which is the most important thing in my opinion for striking. Even if you're not the greatest striker, just that willingness to throw. And that's why he's kind of able to win these fights, is because he'll still throw even if he's getting hurt or even if he's losing. And he kind of clips guys here and there despite not being the best striker ever. And then when they go in for takedowns, he gets them with the guillotines. He's probably got the best guillotine in MMA right now, other than like maybe Verdum. But I feel like Dodson's just such a much better striker in this fight, and his takedown defense is just way better than Mahuz's takedown offense. I feel like I doubt Mahoz is going to get lucky and clip him with a shot like he did in the last couple fights. I think that Dodson's just going to be able to keep the space, and he's either going to knock him out or win by decision. Mahoz has never been finished, but I'm going to still say Dodson either wins by decision or gets a late knockout. Finally, we got Lyoto Machida versus Eric Anders, and to me, Machida should have taken a fight with that fucking Polish guy. I don't know if he's cleared to fight yet, but the guy who's ranked like 12 or 13, Jocko or something like that. Because fighting this young guy who's undefeated, I know he hasn't beaten anyone that impressive. He beat Rafael Natal, who was close to retiring anyway, and then that other guy who's undefeated but was a nobody. So, I mean, Eric Anders is not like the highest. He's still a solid up-and-comer, but he's not this crazy dude. I still would have picked somebody like Vitor or the other guy just because that was a more winnable fight. I feel like this is kind of like the last bit of goodwill I have towards Vitor. If he can't win this fight, he's probably done. I'm still going to pick him. I say that Anders' super aggressive style is going to favor Machida, and I think Machida is going to win by knockout in the first or second round. Like I said, last bit of goodwill though. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.